Welcome BTG Moto viewers to another video from Corsica. This is Melly. Say hi, Melly.
Hi.
This is Melly's motorcycle. It's a Kawasaki ER6N. Now she asked me very nicely if she could try the Triumph 400, so that means I get to ride her Kawasaki. Let's go ride some Corsican roads. Man, I keep pressing the horn because the horn is the place where the indicator cancel is, and I'm a compulsive indicator canceller. I do it every couple of seconds anyway. So we were staying at the Radisson Blu the whole week. It's quite unusual for my tours to stay in one hotel the whole time, and that's because normally I'm doing a big loop, but this is what I would call a cloverleaf situation, where we stay in one hotel and then we just go out in little loops every day on a different loop. And when you look at it from above, it looks like a cloverleaf, you see. So in comparison to the Triumph, I can immediately feel that this is a lot more top heavy. It's a bigger bike physically, but weirdly the peg to seat ratio is very, very close. So I'm in quite a sporty leg position. It's a kind of, I actually would say, this feels very ninja, the leg position. The foot to saddle ratio is very ZX6R ninja. The handlebars, however, are not quite a naked bike, but not quite a sports bike. They seem very narrow set and quite slanted backwards. So the ergonomics are not uncomfortable yet, but they're certainly not instantly familiar. And I've ridden a lot of bikes, so most bikes do tend to feel familiar in some way. The other thing that I notice is that if I position my feet with the ball of my foot on the peg, then my heels hit the heel guards and force my feet into a toe-in position. So my toes are pointing in and my heels are pointing out at the moment, which is a bit odd. It's like they never expected me to sit on it like a proper motorcycle racer would, you know? Because that's the thing, most people sit with what I term as crow's feet. And that's absolutely fine if you're just cruising along. It doesn't make any difference. Gearbox is nice, engine sounds okay. Parallel twin, 180 degrees, so it's a flat plane crank. Both the small ends are in the same, plane. They're just opposite sides of a crank. I have to say, I do prefer the 270 degree cranks that you find in the Yamaha CP2 and the Aprilia in this kind of 660 category. But the Kawasaki is years old compared to those bikes. This engine has been around for over a decade now. It's getting a bit long in the tooth, but Kawasaki still keep it going. It's 68 horsepower, which is not much when you compare it to an Aprilia Tuono kicking out 105. Even my Touareg with its super torquey mid-range still makes 80 horsepower, which is more than this, and that's a bike specifically designed for torque. Don't worry, I trust these guys to overtake one at a time. Nobody's doing any kamikaze overtakes on this trip. I brief everybody every morning. I say, ride your own bike at your own pace. We always wait at the next junction. There is no reason to try and keep up. If you want a good way to crash, a really solid reason to crash is trying to keep up with the guy in front of you. Just ride your own bike at your own pace. Melly's got this bike on Pirelli Angel GTs, which are a really good, sensible road tyre. They are a little bit squared off, but I can still feel that the Kawasaki is a very nimble bike. Suspension is yeah, it's proper budget stuff, and it's budget and old now as well. I don't want to sound like an absolute prima donna, but the difference between fresh fork oil and new fork oil is palpable, and the same goes for your rear shock. Lots of people just have the same rear shock in their bike for 10 or 20 years. The reality is the oil gets cooked and it gets thinner and nastier, and your damping action just drops off the end of a cliff. Now, unfortunately, this road is pretty much devoid of good overtaking places. Oh, what a gentleman. What a gentleman. Or is he turning off? Oh, he's turning off. He wasn't letting us pass, he's just turning off. And the other thing about this road that we're doing now is the surface is appalling. It's really bad. It's a proper little 450 supermoto road, this. And I would have loved to have ridden Maxi's supermoto up here, but unfortunately the clutch popped on it. Nothing to do with the 300,000 third gear clutch up wheelies that he's done in the last 5 days alone. Actually, of course, it's everything to do with that. Oh my god. The Kawasaki is surprisingly hard work on this road. I have to say, flipping between the motorcycles like I have been doing on this holiday, because everybody wants to try the demo Speed 400, flipping between these bikes has made me realise just how damn good that little 400 is. Oh look, I've got a bit more torque than the Triumph, that's for sure. I like the airbox noise. I really do also, and there's an ulterior motive as to why I said yes immediately to Melly to ride a 650, is this is the current generation of Kawasaki 650, and I really, really love the looks of the Z650 RS, which is essentially the same bike as this. And I keep looking at them, and I've seen a couple now, ex-demo bikes for about 6,000 euros, including the tax. And I have to admit, it would fit in the van really small and nice, and I could do little tours on it, like these little street tours that I do here in Corsica. The Z650 would be amazing for it. It's nice to have a little bit more power and torque than the Triumph, and I know that on paper this is, 50% more power and torque than the Triumph, but I'll be honest, on the road it doesn't feel so much faster. Such a bad road, this. But it's a necessary evil to get up into the good roads nice and quickly. Like the head bearings and the swing arm bearings and everything feel pretty normal on this. It's not like it's knackered or anything. I don't know how many miles it's got on the clock actually, let's have a look. Trip, B, fuel range, odometer, 21,000 kilometres. 21,000 kilometres. So there's no reason for anything to be, really knackered with this bike. It's barely running. For a Kawasaki 650, this is a fine mileage to buy one at. Maybe I'm just being a bit mean to the suspension, maybe I'm just expecting a bit too much after the Triumph, which is a whole generation later in the Showa design. I think we're on Kayaba, KYB right way up forks here on this. The brakes are absolutely functional, as in they retard the speed of the vehicle, and they do it in a predictable and safe way. But I definitely prefer the brakes on the Speed 400, even though these are two twin pot sliding calipers, and the Triumph just has like one tiny caliper on one disc. I actually prefer the Triumph's brakes. This has got a lot more engine braking, it feels like. And the riding position's way sportier, which is a good and a bad thing. It's good when we're going around these corners. By the way, I don't know if you know, but Melly is right behind me. She's obviously gelled with the Speed 400 instantly. It's just that kind of bike. She's only 19, she's been riding a year. And look at her go. The suspension's okay on the Kawasaki, I'm getting used to it. A little bit of wheel spin there over that gravel. This is pre-traction control, this bike. So that was 10 minutes with the Kawasaki 650. When we get to the top, we'll ask Belly what she thought of the Triumph. I'm really interested to know what she thought of riding the Speed 400, because on paper it's a big step down from the 650. You're stepping down from a 65 horsepower bike down to a 40 horsepower bike, and you know, for most kids that's unthinkable. They're on the ladder going up, they're not on the ladder going down, not like us old farts. So Belly, what do you think of the Triumph? Was denkst du über der Triumph?
Ich finde die mega geil.
Ja?
Ich finde die richtig gut. Ja, die ist halt so leicht und so richtig wendig in den Kurven.
Ja.
Ich finde die gut. Also ich merke schon, dass die ein bisschen weniger Leistung hat als meine. Aber das Gute ist, die ist super leicht. Die geht richtig schön in die Kurven rein. Das ist ganz anderes als mein Ding.
Ja, ja, ich finde das ein bisschen top-heavy auf Deutsch.
Die ist schwer, die ist sau schwer.
Ja. Wirst du ein schneller Moped nach der
Also ich glaube eher ein bisschen schneller, von der Leistung her würde ich ein bisschen höher gehen.
Ja.
Aber jetzt mal so zum Ausprobieren und mal ein anderes Moped fahren, finde ich die echt geil.
Ja.
Oder mal so für den Urlaub würde ich die auch nehmen.
Mhm.
Ja.
Okay, well vielen Dank, dass ich die Kawasaki fahren auch.
Sehr geil.
Merci madame. Like and subscribe and all that.